It was just a small commuter plane, buzzing back and forth from one town to another. A journey of 86 minutes, one of many that day. No one could ever have imagined that it would end like this, in drama and in death. Yet in 1995, 2 pilots with 26 passengers aboard managed to defy the laws of gravity for 9 minutes and 20 seconds, when their aircraft in effect lost the use of a wing, struggling home like a wounded bird.
Help me hold it!
Brace positions! Keep your heads down, everyone! Hold on, this is gonna be rough!
But when their plane makes a miraculous crash landing with all passengers alive, their ordeal isn't over. What awaits them is even more horrifying.
It's getting hot in here! Get me out! Tell my wife I love her!
I have never before or since dealt with so much physical devastation and emotional upheaval and so much sorrow.
Flying isn't always glamorous. Regional airlines are like the buses of the air, trundling back and forth from one small city to another. Crews operate several flights a day, working for up to 15 hours. They face interminable ground delays and often surly passengers. If a flight gets cancelled, they don't get paid, but they enjoy their work. Atlanta Airport in Georgia has become one of the busiest in the world. It's the home of a very successful regional airline, Atlantic Southeast. ASA serves every town and city of the southeastern United States with a fleet of 83 turboprops. In 1995, most of them were Brasilias built by the Brazilian firm Embraer. The Brasilia is a high-performance aircraft with state-of-the-art avionics and a top speed of 378 miles per hour. Today, after 18,000 successful flights, this Brasilia will take off for the last time.
Takeoff check, below the line. I've got your lights.
Captain Ed Ganaway and First Officer Matt Warmerdam have just flown in from Macon, Georgia.
External lights on.
Going through the departure checklist, they're now ready for their second flight of the day, Flight ASA 529 to Gulfport, Mississippi.
Hi. Hi, honey. Hi there.
Flight attendant Robin Feck has been with ASA for just over 2 years.
Hi there.
Her cabin is a cramped space, only 31 feet long. Most of her 26 passengers are seasoned business travelers, ranging in age from 18 to 69. Among them are 6 engineers, 2 deputy sheriffs, a minister, 2 Air Force personnel, and even an aspiring flight attendant. For them, the short trip to Gulfport, Mississippi is a routine journey, but they're half an hour late on their schedule already.
Okay, power's set. Auto feathers armed. Panels clear.
Captain Ed Ganaway, who's been with ASA for 7 years, comes from a family of pilots. He's a skilled and accomplished captain.
V1.
VR. Pause rate.
Gear up.
AC 529, contact departure, fly heading 060 now. We'll see you.
The 2 men have only been flying together for 4 months, but get along well.
See ya.
At 6'3" and 200 pounds, Matt Warmerdam is a tight fit in the Brasilia's cramped cockpit.
I think all pilots would agree that the Brasilia was a constant love-hate relationship. It was, at the time, the fastest, sleekest turboprop around. And it was also very tricky to master. The thing was built like a Sherman tank.
Hey, Robin?
Hi.
It'll just be a couple more minutes like this. It's gonna smooth out.
Okay, just a couple more minutes and I'll be able to get up?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
See ya.
David McCorkell is a frequent flyer and works in the software business. He's on his way to an important meeting.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard.
Board Atlantic Southeast Airlines, Flight 529, service to Gulfport, Mississippi. We're passing through 13,000 feet. The captain has turned off the fasten seatbelt signs. However, if you are in your seats, we suggest that you do so with your seatbelt loosely around your waist, just in case we encounter any turbulence en route.
Chuck Pfisterer, a nervous flyer, works for a paper company and is on his way to visit a new mill.
AC 529, climb and maintain flight level 200.
200 AC 529. 20.
The Brasilia, on autopilot, is climbing towards its cruising altitude of 24,000 feet.
24. 24.
But the plane will never make it to this altitude.
Autopilot, engine control, oil.
The sound of that was tremendous. It was as if someone had taken a baseball bat and hit an aluminum garbage can as hard as they could. It was just a gigantic crashing sound. And the airplane immediately lurched to the left.
I heard a loud bang, and that's what, just shot me awake. Not knowing really what happened, I looked over and noticed everyone looking left out the window.
What I saw was very alarming. The outer skin of the engine had been ripped off, or as I determined later, had peeled back because of some force. I could see the components of the engine itself, and I could see fluid leaving the engine and exiting the back of the wing.
Autopilot.
Warning lights and chimes go off, signaling trouble in the left engine. The autopilot trips off as a result, and Ganaway takes control of the plane.
Autopilot, engine control, oil.
The plane is falling 5,500 feet a minute, the equivalent of over 90 feet every second. Oil from the destroyed engine is seeping into the air conditioning pack, bringing smoke into the cabin.
Autopilot, engine control, oil.
Back off.
Autopilot.
We've got the left engine out. Left power lever.
Autopilot.
Flight idle.
Oil.
Unaware that the left engine is destroyed, the pilot tries to adjust its propeller to improve the plane's lift.
Oil.
Left condition lever.
Autopilot.
Left condition lever. Feather.
Warmadam attempts to feather the propeller, which means changing the angle of the blades in order to minimize air resistance.
Autopilot.
The warning light indicates fire in the left engine.
Left condition lever. Fuel shut off.
No matter what Ganaway does, the plane is still pulling violently to the left. He struggles to counteract it by pushing hard to the right, using both rudder and control column.
I need some help here.
Autopilot.
I need some help on this.
Oil.
The force of the crippled wing pulling to the left is relentless. Without the efforts of the pilots to keep the plane stable, it would roll into a spin and spiral down into the ground, killing everyone on board. The engine has turned into a mass of misshapen, twisted metal, fatally weakening the wing's aerodynamic capabilities and dragging it down.
Autopilot.
The plane wants to keep turning left. The pilots must push hard right on the rudder to the limit to keep them flying straight.
Engine control.
Captain Ganaway is confused. Feathering the propeller has not reduced the drag. He's so preoccupied with handling the emergency, he hasn't looked over his shoulder at the damaged engine yet.
Oil.
You said it's feathered?
Autopilot. Engine.
It's feathered.
Oil.
What the hell is wrong with this thing? I don't know.
Oil.
For now, the pilots are focused on the plane's vital statistics: heading, altitude, speed, and the power setting of its one good engine.
Well, these planes were designed to fly with one engine.
The airplane is capable of flying on one engine. However, in the case of 529, not only do you have an engine that has malfunctioned and stopped running, but now it is broken from its normal mounted position and canted, which creates a very increased or dramatic aerodynamic effect on the airplane.
Let's close these. Oh, sir, you don't need to be looking at that.
My reaction was, the hell with you. If I want to look out the window, I'm going to look out the window because these are the last moments of my life.
Whoa. It's all right. That's just what turbulence feels like with one engine.
Are we gonna make it?
Oh, sir, of course we're gonna make it.
How can the plane fly like that?
Well, these planes were designed to fly with only one engine.
We're not gonna make it.
What was important wasn't the conversation between the two of us. I think that it was what was in our eyes. I think that she knew that I knew that this was a huge problem and that it probably wasn't going to be something that was going to end without tragedy.
Autopilot.
The pilots have managed to slow the plane's catastrophic rate of descent, but not halt it. In fact, the airspeed has actually increased to 224 miles per hour. Captain Ganaway is puzzled. He's flown a Brasilia on one engine before and landed it without difficulty. This plane has something very wrong.
Atlanta Center.
AC 529 declaring an emergency. We've had an engine failure.
We're out of 14-2 at this time.
AC 529, roger. Left turn direct Atlanta.
Flight 529, now flying over Alabama, makes a left turn back towards Atlanta. But the airport is almost 58 miles away. Will they make it? The plane has begun to descend again and at breakneck speed. Warmerdam cancels the master caution warning, finally silencing the plane's alarms. Captain Ganaway experiments with his controls, trying everything. Suddenly, the nose of the Brasilia lifts up and the plane's speed slows to 186 miles per hour.
AC 529, say altitude descending to?
Right of 11,600 at this time. AC 529.
All right, it's getting more controllable here. Engine. Let's watch our speed.
For the first time since the crisis began, the pilots can now turn their attention to the passengers.
Trim completely here. I'm gonna tell Rob what's going on.
Hi.
Okay, we had an engine failure, Robin. We declared an emergency. We're diverting back to Atlanta. Go ahead and brief the passengers.
This will be an emergency landing back in.
All right, thank you.
Feith hasn't told the pilots what she's seen of the destroyed engine. She assumes they already know.
AC 529, can you level off or do you need to keep descending?
The plane is descending again at about 3,000 feet a minute. Ganaway suddenly realizes they won't make it to Atlanta.
We're gonna need to keep descending. We need an airport quick.
Okay, we're gonna need to keep
Descending. We need an airport quick.
roll the trucks and everything out for us.
AC 529, West Georgia.
The regional airport is at your 10 o'clock position and about 10 miles away.
But the air traffic controller, too preoccupied with handling the crisis aboard Flight 529, fails to notify emergency services. Flight 529 makes another wide left turn that brings it on course to land at West Georgia Regional Airport.
Let's get out the engine failure checklist, please.
Engine failure in flight.
But they don't get a chance to diagnose their problem.
AC 529, say heading.
Turning to about 310 right now.
AC 529, roger. You need to be on a 030 for West Georgia Regional, sir.
Roger. We'll probably turn right.
We're having difficulty controlling right now.
You see brace positions? Brace position. Good. Good. Ma'am, do you accept responsibility for opening the door when the plane stops? No, okay.
APU, if available, start. You want me to start it?
We gotta bring this thing down. Put that off. Bring the ice off.
Caution. Caution.
AC 529.
Say your altitude now, sir.
Out of 7,000, AC 529.
Trim, fail. Trim, fail.
Oh, good start.
AC 529, I missed that. I'm sorry.
We're at a 6.9 right now.
AC 529. Okay, it's up and running, Ed.
All right, go ahead.
Caution.
AC 529.
West Georgia Regional is your closest airport.
What kind of runway they got?
Yeah, what kind of runways?
West Georgia Regional got?
West Georgia Regional is... It's 5,000 feet. And is asphalt, sir.
Okay, now I want you to remove any pens or sharp objects from your pockets. I want you to take off your glasses and pour any drinks into the pocket of the seat in front of you.
had to put the drinks in our pocket in front of us. I think that shook a few of us. And I kind of noticed it wasn't going too well, but most folks on that flight were business folks that flew real frequent. So, you know, there was no screaming or panicking of any sort.
Based on the fact that I was going to die, I dealt with it in the best way that I could, which was just to try to absorb it, accept it, and deal with it.
Okay, Mom, practice. Take your seatbelt off and on, okay? That's it. Okay, if there's smoke and the door in front of us is blocked, you gotta get down on your hands and knees and crawl to the back, okay? So count the rows. We gotta get out of the 5th row.
The plane is still losing altitude far too quickly. Can it make it to the airport in time? Atlanta Center normally only controls flights at altitudes over 11,000 feet. For the last 7 minutes, Flight 529 had been under this altitude, and now the controller is having trouble locating them.
AC 529, I've lost your transponder. Say altitude.
We're at a 4.5 at this time.
AC 529, I've got you now, and the airport's at your... Say you're heading now, sir?
We are heading 080.
Roger. You need about 10 degrees left.
West Georgia Regional Airport is only 8 miles away, beneath the clouds. 2 minutes flying time, but they're not sure they can keep airborne that long.
I'll tell you what, let me put you on approach. He works that airport and we'll be able to give you more information. Contact Atlanta Approach at 12.0.
Atlanta Approach Air Traffic Control. It monitors planes within a much smaller airspace, including West Georgia Regional Airport. The Brasilia, now at 3,400 feet, has slowed its descent to 1,800 feet per minute, but that's still too fast. They won't make it to the airport. On some passengers' faces, looks of despair. Others are angry and bitter, but most are thinking about their loved ones. One woman writes a goodbye note to her children on a torn book cover. She writes, "I love you. You are the lights of my life. Always, Mommy."
I think we should pray.
7 minutes have passed. For the first time, Captain Ganaway manages to catch a glimpse of the left engine.
The engine's exploded. It's just hanging out there.
This was something his instruments hadn't told him. It's no simple engine failure. The engine is just dangling off the wing. He knows he could land a Brasilia with a failed engine, but not when it's torn apart. This is something his training hasn't prepared him for. He wishes he could see through the clouds.
Atlanta Approach, AC 529.
AC 529. Atlanta Approach here.
Yes, sir, we're with you, declaring an emergency.
AC 529, roger. Expect localizer runway 34 approach. And could you fly heading 180? No, sorry, 160. Localizer frequency.
The controller's flight path will take the Brasilia several miles south before landing. Ganaway knows he doesn't have the extra minutes that this will take.
We can get it in on a visual. Just give us the vectors, we'll go the visual.
He asks for directions to take the plane straight in using the shortest possible route. Suddenly, they're out of the clouds, but the sight that greets them couldn't be worse. In front of them, no airport, only forest and villages. Captain Ganaway, who never stutters, does now.
Single engine checklist, please. Where the hell is it?
Robin Feck is puzzled. 6 minutes earlier, Warmerdam had told her the plane was turning back to Atlanta. But all she can see now is Georgia countryside.
Word of 1900 at this time? We're below the clouds, tell them.
You routed 1900 now?
Yeah,
We're VFR at this time. Could you give us a vector to the airport?
Turn left.
Fly heading 040.
Bear, the airport's at your about 10 o'clock and 6 miles, sir.
Radar contact lost at this time.
The plane's low altitude shocks the controller. 1,900 feet. Only a minute earlier, it had been at 3,400 feet. The descent is far too fast.
Remember, brace yourselves. And once we get out to where we're going, flight to the plane comes to a complete stop before we can get out. Okay, brace positions, please. Brace positions. Sir, heads down, please.
Robin Feck, too preoccupied by the safety of her passengers, looks out of a window and suddenly sees the tops of the trees. She has but a few seconds left to strap herself in her jump seat before impact.
Brace positions. Keep your heads down, everyone. Hold on, this is gonna be rough.
The airport is only 4 miles away, but too far for the crippled plane. The pilots have to attempt a crash landing in a field.
Help me hold it.
Over there.
Help me hold it. Help me hold it.
The plane's altitude voice alarm sounds, warning the pilots that they're flying too close to the ground without their landing gear lowered.
Fucking land the plane.
The pilots will attempt to land on the plane's belly.
Help me. Help me. Help me hold it. Help me hold it. Amy, I love you.
These are the last words on the cockpit voice recorder. The plane is flying at 138 miles per hour and only seconds away from impact.
50.